Hello, my name is Nayely Lobo and I am an MBA student at ULACIT. Today, I will be presenting my research project titled Assessing E-Waste Literacy in Costa Rica, a comprehensive analysis of a nation's knowledge and practices in electronic waste disposal. The purpose of this research project is to identify the level of knowledge and common practices of the citizens of Costa Rica regarding electronic waste management. The results of this project shed a light on the current understanding of the general population regarding the importance of adequate disposal of a potentially dangerous product and the opportunities for increased education and promotion of best practices and available resources. First, let's review why this is a topic of discussion. As technology advances and consumers' needs and preferences become more complex, the production of new goods to satisfy the market and enhance our living standards continue to increase. And so does the waste generated by the replacement of damaged or outdated devices, to the point that e-waste has become one of the fastest growing categories of waste in today's global supply chain, and it continues to pose a threat to sustainable development. This becomes an even bigger problem for population centers that do not possess the resources, expertise, or tools to effectively manage the waste and educate the population on how to correctly handle these devices. Particularly in Latin America, there are problems related to open dumpsters and high costs associated with the implementation of advanced waste management technologies. The influence of social media and social pressure to own the latest products and to keep up with ever-changing trends has not only created a problem of hyper-consumerism, but also products that are designed to fail or break after a relatively short period of time so that companies can ensure a quick turnaround and ever-returning customers. This phenomenon is known as planned obsolescence. Electronic waste, also known as e-waste, refers to what happens with electronic devices such as phones, tablets, cables, etc., once they have reached the end of their life cycle. This type of trash is categorized separately, as it is often made with components that are not environmentally friendly and can even be considered dangerous to life. Some of these components include the hardware, such as cables and plastics, but also chemicals such as lead, polybrominated diphenyl ethers or PBDEs, and cadmium, which can be absorbed by the ground or the people and cause anything from brain, kidney, lung damage to developmental delays in children. As of 2019, Costa Rica placed 78 kilotons of electronics in the market, produced 67 kilotons of electronic waste, but only managed to collect around 5 kilotons formally. In terms of existing regulations for electronic waste management, several tools have been implemented, such as the General Law number 8839, Regulation on Integrated Management of Electronic Waste Management number 35933, General Regulation implementing the Law of Integrated Waste Management number 37567, etc. There are also 350 recollection centers available around the country. This research will sample people living in Costa Rica between the ages of 19 and 65 that have purchased at least one electronic device in the last 5 years. A sample size of 360 was randomly selected, have been given a survey to complete, shared through social media public forums, and each question will then be independently analyzed to define patterns and trends that their responses might provide in a descriptive analysis. For the purpose of this analysis, the questions have been grouped in 4 main areas of interest. We have demographics, meaning the ages and sex, purchasing behaviors, meaning what drives purchasing decisions, knowledge and best practices, meaning what people are doing today, and finally, external factors or things outside of people's direct control, such as resource availability. First, we have demographics. Here, we observe that the majority, or 69.34% of the respondents are female. Meanwhile, age-wise, nearly half of the population is aged 19 to 34. Moving on to purchasing behaviors, respondents listed cell phones, headphones, laptops, TVs, and smartwatches as the top devices purchasing by them in the last 5 years. And in terms of changing devices, the main reasons provided included partial or total damage, purchasing of a newer or more recent model, and a general need of wanting to change the device without having a particular reason for it. For disposal behaviors, giving it away, such as passing it down or donating it, also storing, selling, and recycling them were some of the most common methods described. Next, we have current knowledge and practices, which has been subdivided into first, internal knowledge already possessed by the people, where 96.69% of the population are aware that e-waste should not be mixed with regular trash, and 67.13% have confirmed to have never mixed both types of trash together. Also, 73.20% would be willing to take the extra steps to bring their old devices to a recollection center. On the other hand, we have external sources of information where only 22.65% are aware of the existence of receive and repair programs offered by public universities. Meanwhile, 26.69% know about these general recollection centers previously mentioned. Finally, we have external factors. On one hand, 52.76% have attempted to independently research about e-waste management practices, but only 32.04% consider that it is easy to locate the information about this topic. Meanwhile, in terms of seller responsibility, only 1.93% have experienced seller companies providing instructions on disposal practices when purchasing electronic devices. But an overwhelming majority consider that the sellers should be responsible for informing their consumers and even accepting devices previously sold by them in exchange for store credit or another benefit. The results of the survey provide invaluable information to understand the behavior that motivates decision making in the population. It is clear that devices are generally kept for multiple years and are exchanged mainly once the owner considers its life cycle to be complete. And even after that, the owner does not necessarily throw away the device, but there is a common practice to pass it down or sell it to someone else, extending its usability and collaborating to a circular economy. In terms of information knowledge, there is a high level of understanding that e-waste is not the same as regular household trash and it needs to be handled separately. However, when it comes to information availability, it is clear that there is resource online for people to freely use, but a lot of people do not know how to access it. And finding information about the topic requires active efforts from the population, as there are no effective means of distributing the information by sellers or government entities. For this reason, the primary recommendations for this research involve 4 key aspects. Number 1, sellers should include correct disposal information for their electronic devices with every purchase through written recommendations or references to online resources. Technology sellers are the first point of contact for anyone seeking to purchase an electronic device, and as such, are in a particularly good position to offer information about what to do in the device once it has fulfilled its life cycle. Number 2, sellers should operate as collection centers for the items that they offer. While there are already a large number of recollection centers, identifying them requires some research and travel time on the buyer's end, which is likely to reduce a person's willingness to take the extra steps for appropriate disposal. However, if the same store where the product was purchased offers the option to collect it back, it reduces the mental load for the buyer and facilitates the return process, as the buyer might bring in the device when they are purchasing a new one. Number 3, improve communication of best practices through non-electronic channels. While the world is mostly moving to an online information system, it is still important to have other accessible resources that anyone, even someone who is not familiar on how to use the internet, can utilize. Number 4, implement sustainability education for children and teens. Given that specialized waste management is not a skill that comes naturally to people unless a parent or guardian teaches them. However, realistically, some people do not have such a figure that are able to provide this education to them, so implementing a basic learning experience to underage children is an effective way of ensuring that there is a general level of understanding and best practices that can be put into practice by all of the population. One important aspect that it is particularly important to understand is that a cultural and educational shift does not happen in a few days, especially when the current practices are deeply ingrained in the population's mind, such as throwing away things when they are no longer needed. So, an effort that scales up over time to allow the population to adjust and learn is the most effective way to motivate behavioral change and reduce the risk of resistance to change.
All citizens play a pivotal role in ensuring the adequate disposal of e-waste, with the common goal of mitigating environmental degradation and promoting sustainable development. Through awareness campaigns, education incentives, and effective waste management policies, people of all ages can be empowered to adopt responsible disposal and recycling practices. By recognizing their individual responsibility and collective impact, Costa Rican citizens can contribute significantly to addressing the challenges posed by e waste and building a more environmentally friendly future for generations to come.
This is the end of my presentation. Once again, my name is Nayeli, and thank you for your time.